Hi, this is Avery. It is March 11th, 2020. Gonna go over my two trades today. Down about slightly less than 1 hour on two really good risk reward setups with actually quite a bit of size. First one was Aytu. So this one coming into today, we gapped down early in pre-market. Earlier in pre-market, we had a high of 250. And these are just the lines. I originally had my line drawn at 240 yesterday after hours, and then I just moved it up to 250 once we topped there from early pre-market. And this was kind of looking for an unwind, especially after we got a dump right at the opening candle at 7 a.m. So we open up, dump. I was looking for a short near red green, so I kind of wanted to just let the couple minutes see what they're doing. I think this can't, it's weird, trade zero is weird with the prints, but I'm pretty sure it opened up a bit higher and then it dumped down. It didn't open up, down, and then weird. Anyway, so then we shorted the bounce about with $half risk, or half like total dollar risk. This one's not a A+ setup for me just because it's day two, except I did feel like it had quite a bit of fader potential and the risk reward was quite good. So shorted here at $2. With risking over this 210 high. So I accounted for 15 cents of risk just because it's probably going to get slipped about 5 cents. Right here, once we started, we wicked down, came back up on this same candle right here at 198. I tried to slam the rest of my size. Didn't get it, which is fine. So then I just waited patiently for an ad spot. Sorry. Waited patiently for an ad spot. And then we wash down, we make a new low, and there was a 175 low, I believe it was in early pre-market before 7 a.m. So my two profit targets were 175 for some, about a third, and then ultimately 160 for the majority. So my plan was to take like 1/3 off, or maybe taking about like 1/5 off at 175, about 3/5 off at 160, and then leave about 1/5 for lower to see how it reacts. Anyway, so there we wash down, we pop back up. I'm looking to short. I've actually stopped using VWAP. I just put it up here just to show the VWAP reclaim. I stopped looking at VWAP on trade zero because I found it's been pretty inaccurate lately, especially just because they don't show the prints before 7 a.m. So we push back up, we get this wick here, and the volume doesn't come in, so I short more, double on my size. Now with this, what my plan is I'm going to risk these first shares above 210, and the second shares above 195 to $2, depending on how strong it was. Come back down here, kind of an interesting spot. So one thing I've been really trying to work on, I didn't do it yesterday with my BNGO, but one of my goals is, so when I add, instead of, I have a bad habit of like saying doubling out my position or something, but then piking that add. And what my plan going forward is I'm not going to be taking any scalps on my ads. I'm just going to be holding it to my original price target, which will make my risk reward a lot better since I'm also moving my risk down. So in this case, it comes back down. We double bottom here. It's, again, with trade zero, it's weird. First, it showed a low of like 182, and then I was like, okay, well, we just made a new low of 2 cents, and there was first a lot of soaking on the bid, and then once we got down to like soaking a bit on the bid around like 183 in this candle, and then a bunch of big bidders stepped in, and then I was really tempted to take this ad off, and then I decided not to, and I just said, even though this is volume exhaustion, I'm holding for my original price target, and that's that. So we get some volume exhaustion here on this candle. Can't close above, or sorry, can't close below this like 182. Pop back up. I'm looking at the volume here. Let's see here. So overall, if you can notice, a lot of the pushes on the pretty low volume, big selling candle, low volume push, big selling candle. We get this one bottom buying candle here, but then again, no volume comes in on the bounce, so that's why I was shorting more. Then we get this big volume exhaustion candle, and we pop back up. So here, Looked at the volume. No significant volume really came in on this, so I put another piece on. So triple the first size that I first had, with the plan to trim 2/3 above 195, and then risk the rest off of above this lower high right here, 207. So, and at that point, my average at first was $2, then it became 196, I believe, and then it became, after this third ad, it became 193. And then we broke over this high here, was 194, stopped out 2/3, 195 for a 2-cent loss on those shares. And then as soon as I see some more volume come in, I say, screw it, I'm out. And it ends up just ramping. I was tempted to, it's good that I didn't, because I realized, so a lot of it was, I thought this had a lot of fader potential, but then as soon as a massive ramp of volume came in, that's not really my setup anymore. There's too much tension. Even though there was a clear 250 level here, and it was wick and above, couldn't hold above, I was tempted to take a piece short, risking over the highs, and I decided it wasn't worth it because it's not my A+ setup. And happy that I didn't, because guarantee you what would have happened is I would have shorted somewhere around here, risking the highs, got stopped out, and then they would have had the offer. So overall, really happy with that trade. I only lost about, it was about 35% of my total max dollar risk, and the risk reward was about 3.5 to 1 there. Next one is Bkyi. This one was a subpar play. In the filings, I couldn't find any obvious dilution except from their last filing in September. They had really low cash, and I think they had an S3 that they did in September. So I was kind of thinking that possibly they need to raise or anything, and I didn't have a ton of time while I was looking at it. So we pop up, once we make this new high, we push on good volume on the high candle, and then immediately just gets met with a selling candle. Right here kind of looks odd. So right in these two candles, I was trying to short 50% risk, or just 0.5 hour, and I missed it. And this is why this looks weird how the tick's up here, but the arrow's down here. So I was trying to short 120. Originally I was trying to short 133, 132, missed both of those, and then I tried to slam at 128, risking over the highs of 146, and didn't get it. Only got a third, got filled a tiny bit less than 1/3 of my order, which was just really annoying. And then I left it in there with the hope to pop back up, and then once I realized it wasn't happening, I just let it be. And then here, I've seen this before quite a few times. We get this like really tight consolidation, and this one actually I didn't have it in hindsight. My profit target was some at 90 cents and then the rest at 80 cents. There's daily levels there. So right here, so ideally I would have had a 128 average, only got filled a partial there though. So that, anyway, I was looking at the risk reward and I said, okay, I didn't want to risk off the highs anymore if I was going to short any more lower down here, which is, it's lower in the range, which I normally have a rule against. Made a slight exception with this one though, because the risk is so tight and I don't really want to scale. So originally when I shorted here, I shorted another piece. I just shorted the other 2/3 that I missed from up here, with the plan to add once more at 130 or 129-ish, 128, and stop out over this. It's not really lower high. I just didn't think if it was strong enough to get over this level here, I thought that it could probably break the highs. Once we stalled there again and failed to break over this 121 level, and we came back down to these lows, I said, okay, I'm actually just going to put some more risk on, except with the plan to trim above 121. So same plan again. Doubled up my size, except then my plan was to trim half over this 121 level, and then leave my rest for about 136, a really tight risk. We just kind of grind sideways. We push up, and these are some late prints, I believe. Push up, and we make a lower low. Just kind of grind sideways again. Then again, once we come up here, don't push up on too significant volume. Short more. At this point, we made a lower low, so it was holding 111, or sorry, no, 114. Then here it went to like 113. and then down here we went to 110. So after that, after I made a couple small lower lows, I said, okay, I'm not, even though it's a up and over VWAP, kind of taking that as consolidation. So my feel was that if it could break 121, we wouldn't get the fade, and if it didn't break 121, then to get the fade that I wanted. So I was in a pretty good risk reward, or great risk reward standpoint. At this point, my average with this last stat here was 121, and then I stopped at 125. Or sorry, it was, yeah, I think I lost 3 or 4 cents. And overall, it's a not an extremely high odds setup because it's easy to kind of get stopped out there. But with the amount of volume that I was trading, it was really low volume. So I was honestly just happy to take the really tight risk. And overall, I was right in my thesis that if we didn't hold below this level, we wouldn't get the fade, and that's exactly what happened. To grind it up and then just halt fest. From the daily levels, this is what I was looking at. So this is the only thing that I shouldn't have, or I would have traded the same way in hindsight. So that line that I changed, there was a 113, or sorry, 114. So it was basing at 110, so around there. But I honestly would have traded it the same way. But then as far as my profit target goes, my two profit targets were, depending on how, normally what I like to do is just kind of area. So my profit target was originally between 90 or like 80 and 90 cents. There's high here, 80 cents, 90 cents. So overall on that one, my risk reward was really good. I was risking eventually, at first my risk reward was about 2 to 3 to 1, and then with the tight risk, my risk reward would have, I was happy to just put some size in there. And again, it was only about a 35% of my total R, just because it was subpar play after 8 a.m. So overall, happy with those trades. Overall, like, this one's definitely not as high probability, except the risk reward is so good I only need to win about 40% of the time to become up profitable on this setup. So yeah, that's that. I'm just gonna go into more with the same type of plan.